Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Sharice Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Sharice Walker, and I'm your host. And today I'm here with Kristen Revere. And I'm excited because this is something, what she does is not typically a guest that we've had on the show. So she's unique. And I think that it's something that we don't talk a lot about. And a lot of people, they might have heard of it, but they're not really sure. And so she's with Gold Coast Doulas. And Kristen, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Sharice. I'm excited to chat. And I feel like not everyone knows what a doula is. And confuses the work that we do with that of a midwife. So I own Gold Coast Doulas. It's a birth and day and overnight postpartum doula agency located in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I have 27 different subcontracted doulas that work with me, and some are birth doulas only. Some are certified as well in postpartum day and overnight support. And I have newborn care specialists, sleep consultants, childbirth educators, international board certified lactation consultants who are also nurses on the team. So my goal is to support families from conception through the first year primarily, but our sleep consulting service, which is virtual as well as in person, does go up to age 5. So we have some families reach out just for help with toddlers.
I wish that I would have known about you earlier, because I have an 11-year-old that has always had a hard time sleeping. So that, I think that sometimes we don't know, because I have 6 kids and she is the only one I've ever had any issues with. The one below her, my number 6, doesn't have any issues. It's just her. So that's good.
Yeah. Every child can be so different. And sometimes your first is a great sleeper, and then baby number 2 or 3 might have completely different patterns, or, may have been in the NICU. We work with a lot of twin and triplet families, not only for birth support, but also in that postpartum phase.
That's great to know. So tell me what a doula is.
So we are non-medical support for families, and that could be a variety of things in the birth setting. We support our clients wherever they deliver, and we take on a coaching role and support the husband or partner just as much as we do the mother. And so that could be physical support in labor, like hip squeezes, counter pressure, labor massage, different positions to get into, say if baby needs to turn or labor has stalled. As doulas, we work with the medical team, whether it's a nurse and OB-GYN, or it's a nurse midwife or a home birth midwife if it's in the home setting. And we also can answer questions and understand, what is normal in birth, and refer on to medical professionals to, again, if there are questions during labor or in pregnancy, when seeing their provider, we can provide some evidence-based information to continue those conversations. And we also know all the trusted resources in the area. So everything from a physical therapist to a prenatal yoga class to mental health therapists. So we do give resources in pregnancy and after baby is there. And then with the role of a postpartum doula, we help with recovery support, feeding support, no matter how our families feed, newborn care, sibling care. We can do light meal preparation and some household tasks, and also accompany our clients to appointments. And I should note that every doula training might have a different scope. And a newborn care specialist, which we have some on our team, I also happen to be one, does not do some of those household tasks. The focus on that role is newborn care alone.
So when do you start, from the time that somebody finds out they're pregnant, when do you start helping, and how long could you, I mean, you mentioned until they're 5 years old, but how long is it typically?
Great questions. So as far as support, we support our families from the moment they hire. Many families for birth doula support will usually hire in the second trimester. We certainly have some planners and past clients that hire. We're often the first call that they make outside of telling their partner that they're expecting, because they want that doula that they had for the last child. But we also, I have a large agency, so we can take clients sometimes at 40 weeks. Now that relationship won't be as strong as hiring a doula earlier. And for listeners who might be considering a birth or postpartum doula, depending on the area, the earlier you hire, the more availability you will find, because we can only take a limited amount of clients. So we often get booked up quite quickly.
Okay. So
and then postpartum. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, keep going.
I was going to say postpartum hiring can be quite different. Again, I have a large agency, so we have clients that may have a 2-month-old since we work through the first year. That is their partner's transitioning back to work, or they are, and they want support that night. And so we can usually accommodate that. And there are more and more benefits that are offered by employers that cover not only birth doulas, but also postpartum doulas. So people may be looking into their benefits. At Carrot Fertility covers postpartum support for the first 6 weeks is a good example, or Progeny. So, and they support both day and overnight. So those families with benefits that have a set amount of care and a set dollar amount will hire us early to be able to secure that doula. And sometimes there are limits on the number of doulas that can work with a family with specific benefits. And health savings and flex spending also covers most birth and postpartum doulas. So families are, planning for their leave and the support that they want and hiring early. But again, some may hire later on. And many families and friends are gifting, especially postpartum support, as part of baby showers or company showers. We're getting calls quite frequently on the gifted postpartum support.
That's an incredible amount of support that so many aren't aware of. And when I was pregnant, which was a while ago, it's childbirth classes, right? That's it.
Yes.
Go to. And so are those still, are those more outdated? Are more people going to doulas, or how do the childbirth classes work in relation to you?
They work hand in hand. Not everyone has the time or funds to take a class. And at Gold Coast, we offer hypnobirthing. It's a comprehensive 5-week series. We have a couple virtual classes a year that are on Zoom and interactive, but most of our classes are in person in our office. And we do have an online birth and baby prep course called Becoming a Mother that people can take no matter where they live. So Lamaze is still popular, gentle birth, hypnobirthing. But I would say that I've been a doula and educator for over 11 years, and attendance in classes has slightly dropped just based on a mixture of, being able to view videos on YouTube, for example, and all the online content that could potentially replace a class. I feel like nothing is better than getting that education in a class, and also making relationships with other students who are expecting and going through the same time, the same thing, the same time as you are. I had meetups with students in my Lamaze class that I took with both of my pregnancies. And we got our babies together and went to a farm and went to a botanical garden, and were able to support each other through our pregnancies, which is lovely.
Yeah, that's great. So how did you get into all of this? Because that is a lot.
Yeah, so I saw a need, and I had children late in life. And so I had never imagined that I wanted to work in the maternity field. My background is in advertising, sales, and political and nonprofit fundraising. So I was working on a governor's race with my first pregnancy, and slowly started teaching classes, getting involved in lactation events and education. And my students wanted me to be their doula. And so I thought I would take a training as a hobby and occasionally take a client here or there that was also a student. And I attended my first birth and fell in love with it. So I had a full-time job the first several years of my business, and then eventually transitioned full-time. So I started Gold Coast in 2015. Prior to that, I had a solo business and had a partner that worked full-time in the business at that time. I'm currently sole owner.
Okay. How have you structured it? So do you have employees that you hire, or are they contracted 1099 employees?
They are 1099 contractors. Some of them also have other jobs or work on their own as doulas and take work when it fits in their schedule. And some work as lactation consultants in the hospital, or, speech pathologists, a variety of different careers. They might be a part-time nanny and then do doula work in addition to that.
Okay. So how do you screen? Because your reputation is everything with your business. And, sometimes we have a hard time as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, trusting other people and hiring other people. So what are some of the things that you do to screen people when you decide to bring them onto your team?
Ooh, excellent question, Cherise. So all of the doulas who join Gold Coast are certified or working through certification. I only select what I feel are the best of the best in doula training organizations. And they are all CPR first aid certified, and they are background checked before they begin working with families. I have a screening process with an application form that is filled out before I do a virtual interview with the potential contracted doulas or educators. And from that point, I have a second interview and check references, and really want to make sure that it's a good fit for the model of care that Gold Coast practices, which is judgment-free support, and also putting our clients first, but also having balance and caring for ourselves as doulas. So we have a community that is very supportive within the contractors, and they are there to process a rough birth or lend support if they're having issues with childcare. And so we certainly love that team element of the work. But it is my reputation. So if a doula doesn't meet the expectations of the client, then that does reflect on the entire business, but comes down to me. So I also have a mentoring process in the business, and whether it's a doula that is seasoned and joining Gold Coast or is brand new to the field, then we do some mentoring with the first several clients and model how our prenatal and postnatal visits would look. And some of our doulas share call, and certainly the mentored doulas do initially. And other birth doulas take their clients in a solo capacity and rely on our team for backup in case of illness or emergency. And again, we all have that similar model of care. So if a postpartum client is working with 10 doulas, which happens sometimes, then we like that experience to be as similar with each doula coming in and out of a household. Obviously, personalities can be a bit different, but as far as the process, it is similar.
That's fantastic. So how have you scaled your business? What do you wish you would have known when you got started that you know now?
Well, we started out with 4 doulas and 2 additional contractors with lactation and a meal service at the time, and expanded to the agency that it is now with 27. And so starting small and meeting the need. And I did spend quite a bit of time in that pre-launch phase, which upon reflection, I would have just launched and not waited for perfection. But I filed the business paperwork in June of 2015 and had a big media launch and went to every city that we serve and had a big website reveal. So I would have started a little scrappier. Not everything needs to be perfect, but I mean, it was fun to have all of the reveals and to get media coverage initially. But I think we could have started without things being perfect.
And I think that is the biggest hang up with people, that they think they have to have their website, they think they have to have all their orders, they think they have to have all their classes and their courses. And somebody gave me great advice once. They said, just throw it out there and see if it's even sticks. Because if you spend all this time creating all this stuff and nobody's even interested, then it's a waste of time. So sell it and then produce it. And I think that a lot of times people think they have to have perfection, and imperfection is better because you're getting it done, you're going. So that is fantastic advice.
Yes. And I feel like, again, I'm glad that we started with fewer contractors and slowly built up when there was the need and time to educate, especially on what a postpartum doula was. We were the first doula agency in West Michigan, and certainly the first to introduce postpartum support. There were maybe 1 or 2 postpartum doulas that were actively practicing on a solo capacity in my area at the time. And we brought in a training and started with 6 of us doing that work. And it required so much education because people barely knew what a birth doula was. And here we launched an agency focusing on caring for families after baby is around.
That's great. Very good. So let's switch to juggling your business with momhood. What have you learned over the years that while running this business that you've been doing for 9 years with raising your children? How have you been able to juggle that?
Yes, well, certainly a supportive husband and kids who have been involved in my business from day one and understand that sometimes I might miss a holiday or a birthday, or, I might have to work late. And so they understand the good that, the way we're able to support the community. And my business does a diaper drive every year that my kids have been involved in and get excited for. And so bringing that pride that I have in the support that we are able to offer our community to my children, and, having them be able to benefit with, time that I can take off as an owner. And, I might take a few months off now from taking birth clients. And so we can go on vacation together and I won't worry about missing a birth, and I can be hands-on and very intentional when it comes to their sporting events and supporting their passions. And so, yeah, early in my career, I needed to take more clients. And when I didn't have as large of a team, I also needed to meet the demand. So I'm in that stage of life with, my kids are 11 and 13. My stepdaughter's in college. She's 22. So it's a lot of shuffling around from friend part meetups and birthday parties to sporting events. And so it's a much different kind of busy than the preschool age of, those small windows of time that you can work. And yeah, so, and then just getting, again, the focus on naps and early bedtimes with those very early years. So they've gone through all of it with me.
That's fantastic. And do they, are they interested in furthering that with you when they grow up, or do they not want to have anything to do with it?
They don't want anything to do with it. So I can't imagine that they, especially my son, wanting to get into this field, but they love talking about what I do to their class, and I feel like they're very educated when it comes to, pregnancy and newborns because of watching me and hearing my calls. And so, and during the time of virtual schooling in the pandemic, when my classes were online, they were able to observe a lot. Yes. So I think that they have their own passions, and who knows what they'll end up wanting to do later in life, but I can't see them wanting to run this agency.
I laugh because as a realtor, my kids have zero interest because I'm gonna go show homes, mom, I'm out. And I'm like, no, come with me. And but they've been coming since, honestly, one of them since she was a baby, right? And so
Right.
they're no interest, but she does say, Mom, I'm your little helper. And so it's
Aw.
cute because they want to do that. Whereas my son that just graduated high school, he has zero interest in real estate either. My oldest does, but he doesn't. However, he does want to be an entrepreneur. He has seen the path where you don't have to go punch a clock. So much so that we can't get him to get a job. So that's a goal that we have with him. But because he knows he can make more as an entrepreneur doing his own thing if he can find that passion that he wants versus going and making $10, $12 an hour for somebody else. So I think
Right.
even if they don't choose your field, they still understand the path of entrepreneurship.
Exactly. And the flexibility and work family life balance. I certainly couldn't have worked in previous careers and been able to, be at all of their sporting events and their school plays, and the flexibility that owning my own business has allowed.
Yep, I
And
agree.
certainly relying on a community. I mean, I call it kind of the mom squad, and we help each other out with carpooling for different. I have two kids that need to be at two different schools for sporting events at the same time often, and my husband travels for work multiple times a month. And so I have relied on parents and friends and even doulas to help me with transportation, or if I'm at a birth in the hospital longer than expected, someone needs to get my kids off the bus. And so, yeah, so it certainly does take a village or a mom squad.
It does. I like your term mom squad a lot. All right, so last question, and I'm excited for your answer because you have a completely different perspective having worked with many mothers. But I want you to imagine yourself sitting on a park bench and a new 9-month pregnant mom is down next to you. What advice would you give her, knowing what you know from the whole lifespan of you being a mom and you having a 22-year-old? What advice would you give if you could give her anything as a starting out?
Trust your instincts. No one knows your body or your baby the way you do. Advocate for yourself, whether it's your health during the birth or immediately after, and certainly communicating what your needs are. with friends, with your partner, with your employer, to get the support that you need. Because I feel like in pregnancy, women are celebrated. And then you have your baby and it's all about the baby. And people want to help, they don't know how to help. And so oftentimes the mother feels isolated, alone, and like the only thing that matters is baby. And as postpartum doulas, we mother the mother. We try to talk about communicating needs, and whether it's someone to unload the dishwasher or, process, how their day is going, or give them some tips that they used in early parenting, where, the gifts come for the baby right after. And it is, the mother can get a little swept up and lost. So trying to find a bit of that time and self-care and not get lost in that new title of mom.
That is great advice. And it is very true. And I think that people think when you're pregnant, it's, oh, you're so beautiful because you're pregnant and, you have this baby inside of you. And then afterwards, like, oh, you haven't lost the baby weight. What's wrong with you? And I think that there should be no shaming in that, because you should celebrate that you just gave birth to this beautiful baby. And if you're not exactly back to where you want to be, that's okay. Because
exactly,
you're a mom now. And it's a great thing to be, in my opinion.
And there's so much pressure right now with Pinterest and Instagram and these perfect photos. And as you mentioned, to lose that baby weight and, get back into exercise, get approval from the doctor to start working out. And the pressure just needs to end, and focus on recovering and bonding and feeding and rest, because the lack of sleep can just intensify perinatal mood disorders, relationship issues. You might get snappy with other children. And so focusing on rest and recovery versus feeling that pressure to be perfect, or even have your house be perfect when visitors come.
Yep. No, that's so true. And someone told me once it takes about 2 years to recover from all of that. So give yourself that 2 years and enjoy.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, thank you, Kristen. It has been such a delight to have you on. How do people get a hold of you if they want to find out more about your services or about Doula? How can they find you?
So they can find me at goldcoastdoulas.com. And I talk about setting yourself up for postpartum success and the types of doulas and other support in the book that I co-authored with Alyssa Veneclaus called Supported: Your Guide to Birth and Baby. And the book website is supportedbook.com. It is available in Audible, so audiobook format, Kindle, and paperback and hardcover. So a lot of online retailers as well as select bookstores.
That's fantastic. Well, Kristen, thank you so much. And moms, just remember that you are a mother, and that is an incredible gift that not everybody gets to have. And so enjoy the time, enjoy the journey. And if you're struggling, reach out to somebody like Kristen, because they have so much experience and so many resources. So moms, go out and make it a great day. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Sharice Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Sharice Walker.